In 1950, war broke out on the Korean peninsula. The conflict raged on for 3 bloody years. When the dust had settled, Korea had been torn in two. 3 million lives had been lost, and countless families had been separated, torn apart forever by the demilitarized zone running down the border of the two countries. Additionally, thousands more, despite all reaching the south, in the confusion and the chaos, were separated, unable to find each other again.
How many families were there that were separated?
Yeah, soon after that, the Korean War, we had 10 million separate families. Now we have 50,000.
For many of these people, they went on living their lives in the south, not knowing if their relatives had made it or even if they were alive. A few fortunate wealthy people were able to leverage their resources to help track down lost relatives through newspapers and other means, but for most they had to live with the loss, with no way to contact their lost relatives. Over the following decades, the two Koreas began growing apart. The North remained as a brutal dictatorship, but slowly the South started to develop, both economically and democratically. As time passed, the proliferation of modern TV opened up new ways for everyday Koreans to reach audiences as wide as the whole country. In 1983, broadcasting technology had become so ubiquitous that KBS, the Korean Broadcasting Agency, decided that it was time to use the platform to try and locate separated family members. It was originally planned as a 2-hour special featuring 850 individuals titled "I Still Haven't Found My Family" to mark the 30-year anniversary of the end of the war. But within minutes of the show starting, phones began ringing off the hook, with potential family members clamoring to get in touch. For those who couldn't get through on the phones, they jumped in taxis and rushed down to the KBS headquarters in person. On the first day of the broadcast, 36 families were reunited. An emergency meeting was held while the broadcast was still in progress, and a decision was made to extend the run of the program. Over the following days, thousands more flocked to the KBS headquarters, carrying signs and photographs. There were so many placards looking for lost loved ones laid out that they spilled off the walls, covering trees along the roadside and the ground of Udio Plaza. Other Koreans flocked to the square, bringing with them food, water, color televisions, public phones, portable toilets, and shelter to help those looking for family members. On the show, each guest held a placard containing their name and application number, and when their time came, they had the opportunity to present their story in front of the whole of Korea. At its peak, it attracted a viewership of almost 5 million viewers, not just within Korea, but with journalists from 25 million countries following the events and updating people back at home.
I've heard about the program that uses television to reunite families that have been torn apart. Today, I urge North Korea. It is time to participate.
At its conclusion, the show ran for a total of 138 days. It received 100,952 applications. Of those, a total of 10,189 families were successfully reunited. It's hard to understate how many people in Korea this impacted. Even our guide who showed us around the demilitarized zone when I was researching for my last video on the Korean War had family members reunited through this show.
My father had this kind of a footnote on the A4 papers that I have lost my sisters where and when and how my sister's appearance, things like that, written on these papers. When they communicate each other through this broadcasting, they meet like this. At that time, 20,000 families were reunited who were living in South Korea together. But even though they lived together, they didn't know that where their families were.
While researching this project, I watched hours of this TV show. I mean, I'm not a super emotional person, but seriously, it's hard not to feel emotional about the thought of what some of these people went through and the sight of them being reunited after 30 years. Scripting this was difficult for me because I want to show you each of the reunification videos as they're all special in their own way, but I really had to settle on just one. I want to show you the story of a Korean-American woman named Hae-Ran. Lee's mother died when she was very young, and she was adopted and raised as a daughter by her aunt, Lee Soon-jong, in the Gwanghae-dong district of Seoul. At the outbreak of the war, she was brought by her American father to the States. As the North Koreans cascaded down from above the border, her aunt was displaced, causing them to lose contact. She returned to Korea years later to the district of Seoul that she had grown up in, but was unable to locate her relatives as they had moved away. It was sometime after this that Lee heard of what was happening on Korean television.
이혜란 씨 지금 시애틀에 거주하시는데 미국에서 뉴스위크라든가 타임즈라든가 ABC 방송을 통해서 한국의 고국의 이산 가족을 찾는 방송을 보고 지금 일부러 귀국을 하셨는데요.
Arriving on the show with nothing but the names of her aunt and her cousins and some old photos, it wasn't long before somebody rang in to the show.
Yes, I remember.
시애틀에 거주하시는 이혜란 씨가 지금
are you?
확인 전화를 받고 계세요.
What is your name? Lee Soon-jung? Are you my mother? You are? Yes, you are my mother. You will come here? Oh, please. I wait. I wait for you, of course. I waited 18 years. Yes, 18 years.
여기 다옥정은 지금이 어디쯤 될까요?
잠깐만 기다려주세요. 소개해 주세요.
시청 뒤요. 네.
시애틀에서 오신 이혜란 씨 지금 가족이 막 찾아오셨습니다. 축하드립니다.
My mother died when I was very young, so I had this woman here who she is like my mother to me in every way. She raised me till I was adopted.
When she met her aunt for the first time in decades, they recognized each other almost immediately. They were able to confirm this as her aunt knew about a scar that she had got as a child.
이건 돌에 맞고
돌에 맞은 모습에 생겼고.
You got this scar when you were struck by a stone. Was it right?
It's right. It's right.
When they first met, she had no idea whether any of her other relatives had survived.
Do you have any other relatives here in Korea?
I don't know. I must ask these things to her. I want to know about her sons. She has twin boys, I remember. Could you please ask her about her sons?
쌍둥이 아들이 어떻게 되셨느냐고요? 이모에게 쌍둥이 아들이
네, 잘하고 있어요.
잘 자라고 있어요.
네, 하나는 대학 다니고요. 하나는 어디 다니고 있고 그래요.
All right.
I just want to end things on a reflection that while it's amazing that so many families were reunited by this show, even now, 70 years after the end of the war, there are still about 43,000 living family members divided between the two Koreas who will likely never see each other again. I think that this TV show serves as a reminder of the pain and suffering caused by war and how it can take generations to heal those wounds. If you want to go and check out more of the TV show for yourself, then I definitely recommend doing so. They're all available on YouTube with subtitles, and I'll link to that down below. Thank you for watching.